scarring. That image was burned into my brain till the day that I died. Why did I put myself through that? Walking into the cafeteria, I knew I couldn't save everyone. But I thought I could save at least one person. But I didn't. Seeing their limp, motionless bodies on the floor, surrounded by blood, I knew all hope was lost. Putting them in the back of my ambulance, I dropped to my knees and prayed. They were just children, still young to the world. I was numb, a piece of lint floating through the air, with no destination and no purpose. We were friends, best friends, but that's just a title. It doesn't really mean anything. Because if it did, I would have known. I should have known. I should have seen it coming. But I didn't know. Didn't see it coming. And she left me alone to grow old without her. So I finished school and did my best. Life gained purpose. I was doing it for her. I raised 3 wonderful children. And when they asked me about the photos of the high school girl on my nightstand, I told them she was a gift to the world. Just like you are gifts to the world. I don't think they ever truly understood my pain, grief, and love for the girl in those pictures. But then again, I've always prayed that they wouldn't have to. She left me without even saying goodbye. The image of her laying there on the bathroom floor, forever tattooed in my mind. Fingers clenched around the pill bottle, wavy brown hair fanned out on the tile, eyes hauntingly staring into space. I knew something wasn't right. I knew she wasn't herself, but she claimed everything was fine. I should have been a better mother. I should have spent more time with her, but I didn't, and now she's gone. She's gone, and I didn't even get to say goodbye.
Dear Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't bear the pain anymore. The pain I felt every day starting behind a computer screen. Why don't you just go run away and die and go kill yourself? Go kill yourself. Nobody cares about you anyway. Why don't you just go kill yourself? Well, now I am. I hated going to school every day, waking up every day knowing I would be the target. Nobody's gonna miss me anyway. No one. Don't you see? Nobody cares. They all hate me. I mean, look what they did to me. Just tell Rachel to be strong, Mom, because I know I'm not strong enough or good enough to stay here.
You know what? It's not my fault that girl killed herself.
Yeah, I might not have been the nicest to her, but who cares? Not me. Everyone blamed me for her tragic downfall, but I wasn't the only one who treated her horribly. There were plenty of people who bullied her too, and in my opinion, the things I said were taken too seriously. I mean, who kills himself over a few harsh words from the internet? She was just too fragile, and if it wasn't me who made her crack, then somewhere down the road, it was bound to happen by someone else. And how on earth was I supposed to know her friend was going to seek revenge by shooting my friends? I'm just glad I didn't die that day because I deserved to live.
I wanted to be like them. Everyone wanted to be just like them. But she was my friend, my best friend. And just like that, I turned my back and walked away. Soon the bullying started. They ridiculed her where everyone could see. And what sickens me the most, me, her best friend, joined in. Those girls didn't even like me. They weren't real friends at all. But I could only think, better her than me. So I turned to whatever eased the pain. Even though the bitter liquid made me gag, and the smoke burned my lungs, and the knife left scars, I was addicted to being numb. No one knew. I felt alone, fake, dead. Soon the vicious words flowed out easily. I was them. I had become the girls I passionately hated. All that passed through my mind was the harsh words. Words that could never be taken back. None of that matters though. Not the tears, not the begging, not even the past. None of it, once you feel the impact after someone snaps and pulls the trigger.
I secretly always knew it was wrong, bullying those girls like that. But I always went along with it. It gave me a feeling of power. And I knew I was hurting people with my words, but I couldn't stop. I remember always asking myself, are you happy now? Are you happy that you brought them down? And the answer was always no. I couldn't understand why I kept doing it, even though it didn't give me any satisfaction. It made me disgusted with myself. And looking back on it, if I could have done at least one thing different in my life, I would have never been so mean to those girls. I would have apologized. And maybe if I hadn't been so mean, if I would have said sorry, they would still be alive today. And so would I.
It all went by in a flash. I was just an innocent bystander, hearing the rumors day by day. But it wasn't my fault. It was their fault. I tried to stop it. But then it was too late. The gun went off, and they were dead. I was dead. But it wasn't my fault. It was their fault.
Being friends with Sarah was an absolute nightmare. On the outside, we were the cool girls, but on the inside, we were no different than anyone else. She was the queen of the school, my very best friend, and I hated her so much. And Lauren felt the same way as me. We were powerless. We tortured innocent girls on the internet just for fun, and I hated every second of it. I felt so guilty. The tears, the sleepless nights, it was worse than being shot in the head. But I did it not only because I was told to, but because I was jealous. Those ugly screw-ups that I tortured had real friends and parents that actually cared. The clothes, the shoes, none of it mattered. I got everything I deserved that dreadful day in May.
I raised her as I was raised, to be kind, caring, and to look for the good in people. I don't understand how she could ever shoot one person, let alone 4. But I'll never forget that phone call that haunted me until the day I died. Those few sentences that affected me like no others. I guess I should have noticed the warning signs instead of brushing them off as just a teenage fad. But I didn't even get to tell her I loved her that morning. We take the people in our lives for granted, but they could be whisked away at any second. But she was my daughter, so I'll love her no matter what. Rest in peace, sweetheart.
After the 5th week, I began to realize that it didn't matter. Not the cruel Facebook statuses, the mocking tweets, or even the constant snickering when I passed them in the hallways. Those bullies didn't matter, not to me. But they must have mattered to Holly. When her mother called and told me she overdosed, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even blink. I was numb. And all I could think about was how she could leave me. Why would she leave me? It was so unfair. She left me to deal with them all on my own. And that night, I decided, and my mind was made up. There was no going back. The next day at school, I knew what I had to do. During lunch, I pulled the handgun out of my purse, and I walked across the lunchroom to their table. But before I made it, a girl in my English class, she stepped in front of me. "Please don't do this," she begged. "I can help you." "Move," I said. "I don't want to hurt you." But she didn't. And it all happened so fast. I couldn't think. I shot her. She was innocent, and I shot her. Screams rang out, and I knew I had to do the rest quickly. I walked up to the table, and I shot Sarah's wannabe clones, and I didn't even flinch. Then I turned towards Brandy, my best friend, the girl who betrayed me, and I shot her too. And I looked at Sarah as she began to cry. "I'm not going to shoot you," I said. "I want you to live with this, live with all of it, everything, all their deaths, it's all on you. Especially Holly's death, and especially mine." Then I put the gun to my head and I pulled the trigger.
This day, the worst day of my life, just started out like any other. My regular students and my morning coffee, cold coffee. The gunshots were new. And by the time I left my office and made it to the cafeteria, it was far too late. There were students laying against the tile with pools of crimson around them. I had to meet with countless people, but that doesn't include the people I actually had to talk to. And yes, there actually is a difference. I had to talk with 5 parents, 21 students, and a paramedic. Just talk, cry, and listen. And that day is one I will never forget. It was this day of sorrow and betrayal and death. But to others, that day meant renewed friendships. But the ones that left will never truly be forgotten. And so I left, and I was forgotten. But their memory will live on.